We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. We have been lulled into a trance. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapons.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
Let's talk about patents. You know, most people have a problem understanding this because they have a really 20th century attitude about technology. They're not up on stuff. They don't understand what is really going on. Because one of the main things that these people do is hide this stuff within medical patents. These are for medical use. These are for deaf people, cancer patients, people with speech problems even. Has any of the technology changed at all? When you go to the hospital, there's a 300-year-old CT machine. Are you seeing any of this technology? And a lot of these patents that are out there are decades old. And you're seeing none of it used in the medical industry. But it's filed under medical patents. And it is being used, just not in the way that you think. So wake the fuck up. And I want to explain what I mean when I say that people have a 20th century attitude towards technology. Let's say you're explaining this tech to somebody and you're saying that it runs off sensors, okay? And, you know, the guy turns to you and saying, you're trying to tell me that they come into somebody's house and put, you know, sensors all over their house? Come on, get out of here, dude. And it's like, no, dude, you don't even know what a sensor is because you picture something from the 20th century. A sensor now can be a bacteria, a biosensor made from bacteria, Shionella, graphene, nanographene, and they're passive. And it can come into your house, just float right into your house, through your AC, through your windows, drag it in from the outside. It's in the air. And this is what I mean, and there are a million examples, but I'll keep that short. When I say that people have a 20th century attitude towards technology, they don't understand what is going on. Another thing is the whole implant thing. There are people that refuse to understand that just because you think you have implants does not mean that you have implants. And just because you have a 20th century attitude on what an implant is doesn't mean that you've been implanted. These work as implants. It can grow in your body and work as an implant. It could grow in your joints. It could literally grow in your joints and cause symptoms that are similar to arthritis and be an implant, work as an implant because it receives and sends radio signals. That does not mean that somebody came into your room with a giant turkey baster hypodermic needle and stuck one of these in your brain or in one of your joints or in your neck. It can grow. So people need to start researching and quit listening to hearsay where people say they've been, you know, implanted just because one person was complaining of that 25 years ago. And for those of you out there that are going, this is way too far out for me, man. I don't think this is real. You don't think anything can grow on you and send and receive radio signals, then you need to look up something called neural lace. It's called neural lace. Look it up. Your boy from Tesla is involved in that. So one of my friends from the forum was talking about patents, and I hadn't done that in a while, so I started to do some keyword research on patents, and I want to go over those with you. So let's start checking these out right now. This is a wireless real-time tongue tracking for speech impairment diagnosis, speech therapy with audio-visual feedback and silent speech interfaces. Now this is very interesting, and I know people in speech therapy. Are they using any of this stuff? Hell no. Hell no, they are not. And this is a real-time wireless system for recording natural tongue movements in 3D oral space. What it does is it uses sensors around the mouth and on the tongue. Now, somebody pictures a big contraption, attached to this person. Now, these patents are very vague, very, very vague on how they use and do these things, okay? What it does is it monitors silent speech, is basically what you're saying without talking, and what you are talking about, all right? And who's involved with this? National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health. The federal government has certain rights in the invention, okay? And you can go through it and through it. Now, this is one of the biggest magic tricks in the bag. What's very vague is sensors, all right? And as I said before, a sensor can be just about anything now, and you wouldn't even know it was there. You wouldn't know it was there. And the cell system, the whole cellular and wireless system, because there's a cell tower on every corner now, can be used to take in and send information with one of these. All right, you have to realize what a big deal this is. More medical madness. Here's a multifunctional magnetic nanoparticle probes for intercellular and molecular imaging and monitoring. So these are basically a bunch of nanoparticles that operate as probes. You would just see it as a speck of dust, even if that. You could put one of these or some of these all over somebody or in their food or in the food, and they would have no idea they were even there. And this invention was made, at least in part, with funding from the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, the U.S. Department of Defense, and the United States government has certain rights in this invention, okay? And these are all hidden under medical bullshit. So don't buy it. This is where the stuff's being hidden, all this tech. Like I said a million times, people give this shit way too much credit. It's just a bunch of stuff put together to make a bag of magic tricks. Smoke and mirrors when these people get freaked out by this tech. Smoke and fucking mirrors. Methods of making medical implants of polyhydrogel. Implants. See? There's the word implant that everybody's so crazy about. And they don't need a turkey baster, big ass needle shooting some rice size thing into you anymore. That's the kind of stuff way back in the day when the dude was making the Gray State movie. And he was all worried about chip implants. And he was probably already hit with some of this stuff, because everybody is. But anyway, here it is. So I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just showing you a few of them. Just a few out of thousands. Nano-sized optical fluorescence labels and uses thereof. A composition is disclosed which is capable of being used for detection, comprising encapsulated noble metal nanocluster. Methods for preparing the encapsulated noble metal nanoclusters and methods for using the encapsulated noble metal nanoclusters are also disclosed. Electrosonic cell manipulation device. A method of injecting a substance into a living cell, having a cell membrane, the substance, the cell, and a liquid are placed into a tapering passage. Energy is applied to the cell, thereby inducing poration. To sort cells, a cellular suspension is placed into a tapering passage, including a narrow end that defines an opening that has a dimension corresponding to a cell size. You see how vague this stuff is? It's intentionally vague. An acoustic wave is applied, thereby forcing cells having a cell size smaller than the selected cell size through the opening, with a portion of the cells having a cell size not smaller than the selected cell size not forced through the opening. It's like a ridiculous description. To extract material from the cell, an electric field and an acoustic wave are applied, thereby causing the cell membrane to allow the material to pass out of the cell. Now, they would say this is for getting bad stuff out of your cells, but they would use this to take good stuff out of your cells. Highly tunable, low impedance, capacitive, micromechanical resonators, oscillators, and processes relating thereto. Disclosed are capacitive micromechanical resonators optimized for high Q, low motional impedance, and large tuning range. Exemplary resonators were fabricated using HARPS on SOI process and demonstrated quality factors up to 119,000 in vacuum for resonators operating between 3 MHz and 30 MHz. The lowest extracted impedance, blah, 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 blah. But you get the point. All this stuff is on the nano. This invention was made with the government support under contract number DAAH01-01-1-R004, awarded by the U.S. Army Aviation and Missile Command. The government has certain rights in the invention. Sub-room level indoor location system using wideband power line positioning. And this is it. This is where it all starts, because everybody is always like, they're getting me with satellites. The satellites are all around. They don't need satellites, weather balloons and bullshit. This is what they're using. This kind of shit. They use sensors. But again, the term sensor is ambiguous. They use the power lines to map out a house from the inside. You know, and you have these people that are always like, you know, they know where I'm at. There's cameras in my house. No, there's not cameras in your house. There's signals coming into your house through your power lines. Your house is mapped. They know where you're at in the house. Like the Zigbee system. Through the power lines, and they freak you out that way. Now, I want to tell you something. I pulled down probably 100 patents. 100 patents just the other night. And they are all of these patents, every single patent that I'm going to show you is by the Georgia Tech Research Corporation. Every single one. So they are making these toys either blindly, thinking that they're making this kind of shit for medical use or whatever, and they are making them for these people to do nefarious things with. The Georgia Tech Research Corporation has a patent on every single thing that I've shown you. These aren't just like a patent here, a patent there, a patent here. Every one of these little tricks in the big bag of tricks has been patented by these guys. Listen to what I'm telling you. Method of applying acoustic energy. That's a sound wave, because they use these words that people aren't going to understand. And that's why it's imperative that people take this to a street level to explain it to people. When you talk in bigger words, it not only freaks people out, but they turn off to it. I'm not going to get into the details of this, but basically they are taking sound waves, acoustic energy, to alter cells. Parts of this have been around since 98, 99, and you know they were using it before that. Systems and methods for providing wireless power to a portable unit. So basically, they can dig a hole if they wanted to. You could dig a hole and stick something somewhere and have it running off the power grid, and no one would know it was running off the power grid. No one would know it was there. Once again, the Georgia Tech Research Corporation. Every fucking one of these that I'm going to show you. Let's, if you want to look these up, just take the numbers yourself and get the details. That's pretty easy. Traveling wave thermoacoustic engines with internal combustion. Do you see how vague that is? Thermoacoustic devices are disclosed wherein, for some embodiments, a combustion zone provides heat to a regenerator using a mean flow of compressible fluid. In other embodiments, combustible mixture within the combustion zone is pulsed in phase with the acoustic pressure oscillations to increase acoustic power output. In an example embodiment, the combustion zone and the regenerator are thermally insulated from other components within the thermoacoustic device. Basically, this can be used to create ELF waves or anything. Georgia Tech Research Corporation. And Triad National Security LLC. Triad National Security LLC. Who else is involved with this? The U.S. government has a paid-up license in this invention and the right in limited circumstances to require the patent owner to license others on reasonable terms. So they're using this. Awarded by the National Defense Science and Engineering Graduate Fellowship, part of the United States Air Force Office of Scientific Research. U.S. government has certain rights to this invention, blah, 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 blah. So they are definitely interested in this for a reason. And it's been around for a long time. Electrospray systems and methods. Electrospray systems, electrospray structures, removable electrospray structures, methods of operating electrospray systems, and methods of fabricating electrospray systems are disclosed. So what this is basically electrospray, and that's pretty self-evident. You spray it and you make anything that you want an antenna. Georgia Tech Research Corporation. Check out the patent number if you want more details. Self-powered, ultra-sensitive, flexible tactile sensors based on contact electrification. That's pretty self-evident as well. I won't go into the details of this, but Georgia Tech Research Corp. Who's involved with this one? Department of Energy and the U.S. government has certain rights in the invention. So there you go. Method and apparatus for using in-home power lines to support low-power wireless sensors. Sensors, that's ambiguous nowadays. And to extend the range of low-power wireless devices. Okay, you get the picture. They can power anything off the power grid from residual power, dirty electricity, etc. Georgia Tech Research Corporation. There's the patent number. Optical sensing in a directional MEMS microphone, or MEMS microphone. A microphone having an optical component for converting the sound-induced motion of the diaphragm into an electronic signal using a diffraction grating. Won't get into the details on that. If you want more, there's the patent number. Georgia Tech Research Corporation. Here is another sub-room level indoor location system using power line positioning. Georgia Research Corporation. By the way, none of these patents are satellite based. It never says this is satellite based. Okay, monitor and tracking of assets. That's a good word. Assets. It's perfect. By utilizing wireless communications. So basically, they are everything that I've said in the past. They're piggybacking signals on the power grid, on the cell sites, on wireless, on any cell site and wireless. You don't need a license to do it. It piggybacks on it. And they are using this stuff. And that's the main thing that people need to realize, is it's not going to say brain zapper on the patent. It's not going to say Manchurian candidate creation device on the patent. It's going to be hidden in something. And what they're doing is they're hiding this stuff within the medical industry, but you never see this stuff actually being used in the medical industry. You walk in and there's 50-year-old tech, 60-year-old tech, you know. And that's the main thing. And this brings me to something that I did a video on a while back, but I want to go over it again. You get all these people, once in a while, you know, it picks up. It's weird. I get, you know, half a dozen people leaving comments going, you know, it's demons. It's demons. Well, you know, back in the day, when people saw fire, somebody, you know, if they saw fire coming from somebody's hand, they would believe that they were totally demonic, right? Because they didn't understand the technology. Now we just call it a Bic lighter. So you have to realize what is really going on. And just to show you, you know, people have said, these are demonic voices that you're picking up. Well, let's get into that and go back to something that I did a while ago. Okay, a while back, I did a video on Morse Code. And while I was picking up these signals entering my house without a radio, I wasn't using a scanner, I wasn't using, an antenna radio, I was using a recorder to pick up ELF and other noises that were entering my home. Okay? And within that, I picked up a Morse code signal. I'll play that for you real quick. Okay, don't try to tell me that's anything but a Morse code signal. Alright? So, let's go to the original. This is what originally sounded like before I pulled all the garbage out of it. And I had to boost this up originally to get the signal loud enough to hear what was within it. But let's check it out. Lower voices. His voice is on the left. So, bunch of noise, talking underneath, Morse code. Are they demons? No, they're not. Here it is after I cleaned it up a little bit. And this is not the Morse code, but to get the voices that were underneath the Morse code and in the signals to show up. I'll show you stage 1. Now, you have to listen to this stuff for a long time to start to understand how the inflection is and how it goes. These are not typical human voices. These are strangely inflected, digital, MIDI type human voices being made with the tweaking of audio signals. So, it's going to take you months or years to have an ear for this. It just doesn't come overnight. This is better to see spectrally, so let's look at it this way. This part says, throw him in prison, and I'll repeat it. Throw him in prison. Throw him in prison. And then here, it's like a female-y type voice, and it says, we have to try something. Something. And then here, it goes on about something else. So, you've got these nefarious voices within a Morse code signal. Now, in the ELF of that track, there is more talking and what sounds like mumbling. Because we're not supposed to be recording this stuff and pulling it out. There are redundancies that are made to make it hard to understand what is being said and how it's being said. And it's a miracle that I even got that Morse code signal by itself. That was not supposed to be heard. Hear that? Let's play that again. Okay, after it says, throw him in prison and we have to try something, this ELF voice that was underneath it says, they'll say he killed someone. Killed someone. I'll loop it. They'll say he killed someone. So there's really creepy stuff underneath that Morse code. A lot of people say, it's demons, demons. But I'm going to show you something that was within this signal that looped like every 27 minutes or so. You would hear this signal pop up. I used a Morse code translator online, and it took a long time to get the signals and get the different settings correct to read it, because it was reading it all weird. I had to change the FFT, just a bunch of stuff. But it was kicking this out, and as I used it, it got closer and closer to what it was really saying. And at the end of this one, I was at 8 Henry Ford Wyandotte. Okay? This is important. Very, very important. Now, I told you, this is hidden within medical bullshit. Now, check this out. Finally, it kicked it out. Henry Ford Wyandotte. Some miles and miles from my house, there is a hospital called Henry Ford Wyandotte. That's the legit shit right there. This is not demons. This is not ghost. It's not satellite. They are kicking this out and kicking these signals out through cell signals and the power grid. And the identifying Morse code kicked out Henry Ford Wyandotte. But this signal repeated every 27 minutes or so. This is your evidence right here. That's why I keep saying we need to base shit on facts and move forward. Facts. Not your feelings, not what you feel is going on, but reality. And I just want to say before I hang this one up that I realize, I know it, there's going to be people that say, hey, I found the patent for the Mindbender 3000. And that's what they're using. And it's cute that somebody patented something that affects the mind, but anybody with nefarious purposes is not going to patent their idea like that. It's going to be hidden, and they are using the medical industry to hide these patents. Look out for Charlie.